Boom! Salutations! This is an unexpected video. Thank you, PC, for letting me get one more in. As I do this video, there's actually a conference that I was supposed to be at in Florida. I was not able to make it, and I'm actually doing this video at the time I would have been there. So I apologize to those that went not able to make it. But I must say, I think it's probably a really nice conference, and as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't like bad blood or anything like that. I was just not able to attend, so I don't want anybody slinging mud. I know that happens a lot in these communities. So anyway, and I will be at the Appalachian Starseed reunion in 2 weeks. I will be speaking there in North Carolina. So that's from the 1st to the 4th. So come on through if you can. Something that I wanted to bring up is that COVID actually brought mental illness to the forefront. And I think that's very, very important. And when dealing with this topic here, it's hearing voices, also called auditory hallucinations, and some words similar, paracrasis, that I can't really pronounce. So anyway, but it's just hearing voices. And having dealt with mental ill patients or people that I've known, you often encounter people that have heard voices. And I think that what really the cause of that is not being acknowledged correctly by the DSM-5 and these other things, saying that it's simply a brain chemical reaction, a brain chemical imbalance. And when you start really looking into that, there's no actual tests, like chemical tests and things that prove that about the brain and what imbalances or what. That's very, very nebulous, and there's actually a lot of comparisons when you start looking into that and researching it. So that says something, all right? And I have worked with juvenile offenders for years, and some of them actually would hear voices. Some of them, I had some adults I worked with too. And I ask sometimes, and when coming to why sometimes you have somebody that has psychotic episodes or bipolar 2 and they stop taking their meds, and ask them why, what they say. Sometimes you'll hear this a lot, is that, well, the voices told me to stop because it was poisoning me. The doctor and all them were poisoning me, and the side effects have been proving it. So they get off their meds. And when dealing with these voices, okay, that it's not just always chemical imbalances. So I'm gonna throw out right away that a lot of times what we're dealing with is negative entity attachment. Okay, negative inorganic beings, demon, whatever you want to call these things. All right, but that, as much as earthbound spirits that I talk about a lot, they do this too, all right? They're able to get inside not just the body, but the mind, and then start actually producing voices. and talking to you, all right? And what's really insidious about the way that these dark forces do this is these beings know not just how to get in our mind, but they also start negative thoughts. The negative thoughts start building and they start feeding on that. They feed on the negative emotions. Now, I've talked about that in multiple videos on this channel. Go under the Negative Inorganic Beings playlist where this will be, and look at some of the things, especially strategies that I've offered concerning this. Now, when these things are on us and talking to us, these voices, many times they sound like our own. And a way you can make an identification as, is it just an earthbound spirit, or is it really a negative entity to the degree they start telling you things that are really negative immediately. It's all negative. Hateful things, painful things, things that get your emotions revved up, you know, suicide, and which is a bad deal because then not just do they kind of lose their food supply, but you also have a chance of becoming earthbound and deal with that shock when you feel the pain other people feel when you actually have done that. That's what I've experienced as mediumship wise, is when I encounter an earthbound spirit that's suicide, they'll often step back and not give me that survival evidence that I'm looking for if I'm going to communicate what it is they want when they're attached to that person. So that's just a situation there, all right? But anyway, going back to these voices themselves, often they'll pretend to be loved ones, all right? They'll pretend to be loved ones, and these are things that you can start encountering even during sessions, you know, so I'm always very careful when I do sessions to make sure that they're very, very protected, because you can encourage that. But I found that during the sessions that when it's not an earthbound attached to someone, like for example, they won't give you a name. They usually will not give you a name, as to where earthbound spirit will. They're most willing to talk, excuse me, the majority of the time. So that's something I wanted to throw out there too and make sure that's well understood, all right? So anyway, going back to these imbalances and these reasons that people are actually getting off their meds, and when it comes to the meds, all right, the meds that the drug facilities and the pharmaceutical facilities are pushing, you go to those doctors, you know, the doctors are just drug pushers more or less in these facilities. You know, you look at how, if you ever had the pharmaceutical people that come through and they give all sorts of demonstrations for the new drugs and check this out, what it did for such and such. But I mean, in reality, that's not the all cure-all. Well, let's say you have somebody bipolar 2 or something like that. Sometimes these voices are so overwhelming that they can't be drowned, that the meds help drown them out. And then you can take it to a different level like this. We're talking about a spiritual attack. And once you have isolated that there is an outside force that is actually at work, and it's not just within your own mind, it changes the game field, the playing field, quite a bit. And I get excited over these things, so I'm kind of going to look through my list a little, trying to talk as I go here. This is something also that leads us into stopping internal dialogue that I've talked about before, which is when we're all talking to ourselves all the time. When you're meditating, trying to stop talking to yourself, I have a hard time with that because my mind goes 1,000 miles an hour. But what I had to start doing was practicing pranayama and certain Kriya yoga breaths that allow me to kind of still the mind much more. So that's just something else to consider. And once we stop the internal dialogue, that's when we actually become multidimensional. So I've talked about that before. And taking this and cross-referencing this, when these negative entities, these negative beings start actually creating these negative thoughts, okay, that starts building this energy, building your emotions, and what they do is actually use your pineal gland as an attempt to manifest things out here in the third dimension. So in that way, our pineal gland is actually a wormhole and can be used like that. And that takes us also into what they say a portion of dark energy that powers Makos, okay, black holes and things. So just want to tie that in there too. Like I said, the medication can help control the voices. The read throughs can be dealt with better. Now let's go into something else, and that is, okay, this V2K technology. And this takes us into the V2K technology, the voice to skull technology, also called the voice of God. And I talked about that a lot in a video that is on this channel under negative inorganic beings again, but it's called SSP and mind control. All right, and that is, I think, a situation where it's very, very, very valid and very, actually kind of scary. There's a thing called the audio spotlight. I'm sorry, audio spotlight. I almost said microwave because that's another weapon they're using. But this is the audio spotlight, which is a way of actually using remote weapons to actually tune into people using sound. Okay, so that's something that needs to be really evaluated when dealing with this voice to skull technology or this voice of God technology that people talk about a lot, and there's people that know a lot more than that have been exposed to that. But that's just something that they're doing that's compounding this other dark stuff that's going on. You know, they don't want to admit that a lot of these people that are hearing these voices, these are negative inorganic beings, they're demons talking to people. They've been doing so much in our society, creating these wars and things that, look at how humanity is. We're very much slave to these energy, to these beings that are creating all this, I hear it called negative inorganic or negative energy, loosh, all this DOR, deadly orgone, radiation, all sorts of different types. But the thing is basic negative emotions. The same way that earthbound spirits and negative entities attach to us is through the parts of trauma on our bodies that are stored trauma. Each trauma you take stores in a certain organ of your body. Scientifically can be proved. I don't think I put that picture on here, but there are other videos on here I've done regarding that. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that that was isolated besides entities that are talking to people all the time. All right, and that's one problem with this voice, and the other is this technology. So you've got two different factions of darkness trying to do the same thing. So I just want to kind of say that, how that compounds things and puts that together. All right, something that I've come across in a few sessions is that you have people that are like almost these henchmen that come and they, you know, they'll tell me like, oh, I've had other earthbounds tell me, you're bad, or they tell the person that I'm bad. Well, why? Because you're going to make us leave. And I said, okay, who told you that? And they said, well, the others that were here in the body that left before you got here, but they say once you're gone, they'll come back. So, I mean, that's why it's important to do these protections and things. Very, very important. All right. So, sorry, I'm getting too far off. So, some of these, there's others that are kind of pushing them to destroy or pushing earthbounds kind of to be dark. And there's talk sometimes of if you don't, you'll be punished. And you know, I think that a lot of these dark entities really prey on our concept of heaven and hell and this pit, this place that they'll go to, you know, and how they tell a lot of these earthbound spirits they don't have light anymore, so they better do what they say. These are just things that I've encountered a couple of times that help turn people more demonic, more negative. So I think it's really worth talking about, worth examining, and see that the DSM-4R is wrong, and what we're dealing with is very much a spiritual component besides just brain imbalances that they can't really prove to chemical testing very much. Not to the degree that what we're talking about here. So, okay, that's a lot of it there. All right. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. Something else. We'll go into this. All right. Ways of getting these type of voices into you. One, I've been hearing people saying that use those voice boxes. All right, the voice boxes and use the spirit communication boxes, that they start getting invaded with these voices in their mind when they're not using the box. So that's really setting yourself up, I think, about as much as using a Ouija board. Okay, very much as a knock on the door to those beings that are kind of in that fourth density, fourth dimension or whatever, and a lot of them are tricksters. Okay, so they're not getting what you're not communicating with what you think, and then they do these things that hook you. And then once they hook you, boom, you know, like help you with something or show you something, and then once they come in closer, they hook you, get attached to you, and start ruining your life. So that's, you know, something that's even worse than a lot of the earthbounds to a degree. But you have earthbounds that are like henchmen for these individuals. So be careful with the voice boxes, definitely. That's something that I say be very careful about. And I want to throw something else out too. I've done another video that's about the light, several bad advice, another one, the light war, that I've done recently. And these are all things about these individuals saying don't go into the light, all right? And I know that there's some remote viewers that are saying that. And they're connected, okay, to Farsight. I'm just going to say it. I don't owe anybody nothing. They're connected to Farsight. I know they're telling people not go into the light. And what they've seen is these soul traps. I'm going to throw this out because I have data now that proves it. Okay, remote viewers can be influenced. All right? They can be influenced. And when you're dealing with a subject like this, which is trying dark forces, it's dark and light battle. And they're trying to turn people against the light. And they're using something like that. And when I say these individuals are being influenced, you have not just these inorganic beings that are influencing what these people are seeing remote viewing wise, but also you've got technology. You've got some type of a technology that's similar to this virtual reality scenario that's using light pulses. And what it's doing is it's interfering with the actual human brain and part of the near-death experience area. And in those areas, they're messing with that. So it's created this whole false light type of thing and these soul traps, okay? And I've talked about soul traps and other things. What I know now from the work, the data, the clients, is that your divine overself, okay, superconscious, the Uranta book calls it the thought adjuster, heard it called 1,000 or 100 things. But that part of us, our divine overself, cannot just be overpowered like that. It has to do with consent. So to go through that, some part of you is consent. I'm sorry people aren't going to like that, but my work has showed that, and I think you deal with other people that are doing this type of work, crossing earthbound spirits, especially through hypnosis, they're going to find similar things. So I'm throwing that out, all right? And the reason why I'll throw that out too is supposedly these people that remote viewed it and saw that this was a death trap and don't go in the light and they're saying that, they're not offering what else they're going to do to survive when that darkness comes and you become an earthbound. But also, okay, I'm a crafty warrior. That's real. And I gave about a week and a half ago, I gave Jessica Jones, my friend, who's presenting probably about right now, and I hope that's going good. I gave her the blind target of the light. And what she saw wasn't what these people saw. She was seeing infinitesimal, infinity and things like that. Something totally different. It wasn't some trap, some mechanism. All right. And that's, I've talked about in another video, the mind of God and the eagle, in which I do a comparison of this part of the Creator that takes our life memories and wipes us clean and becomes part of this God repository and sends us to the next incarnation of our choice. We do that. That's just part of what happens during this process as immortal souls. And it doesn't mean it's this demonic thing that's being said, all right? So anyway, I really wanted to bring that up because that's something there that I'll probably get Jessica to do a video, or we'll do a show over that target and talk about that a little bit. And I'm just saying this because this stuff needs to be brought to light, literally. And as a medium, as a hypnotist, as somebody that's doing the work, I had to accept some of the things that I thought didn't hold water, that this is a prison planet, all right, and full of lost souls that are forced into a reincarnation cycle. And once I started really getting into the work, a lot of that wasn't supported. You know, I mean, nothing is absolute, but we have a natural process that is very hard to interfere with when it deals with divine overself, and they're doing things with the human brain and technology. That's what's happening. As much as you've got negative inorganic beings getting in your mind, trying to create negative thoughts to overwhelm you, okay, that's very real. So when dealing with these voices, and someone you know that's hearing voices, don't discourage them from getting the meds. They may need that to stop the meds, period. Like sometimes you go to a mental hospital, you notice some of the patients are walking around blaring headphones, music, because they say it drowns out the voices. And certain things they can't see or do, the voices come in. Like, for example, you know, reading certain holy texts. The voices, why are you doing that? even going to a place of worship. Why are you doing that? It's a waste of time. So these are things to be aware of, these voices that you're hearing. Don't just discount people as being mentally ill, and from brain imbalances chemically. There's a lot more going on when you look deeper into it. That's keeping it 100% real. So please go back and look at all the other videos I've done concerning negative inorganic beings, concerning the light. All right, I will stand by this. All right, so I know this video is probably going to tick some people off, but it is what it is. And I'm willing to listen. If somebody else knows these other secrets about not going into the light that is relevant at all, I like to hear how you do it. What techniques do you use? What are the things that are involved with this as far as going forward and not becoming an earthbound spirit? And don't just say something like, I know somebody really well known in this field right now has a large platform saying, I had a near-death experience and then I saw the light, I went around the light and I just went going, I was flying through the galaxies, yada yada. So that's a bold claim. When I'm in your presence, you don't have very much personal power, which means you mean to tell me you can astral project like that anywhere you're gonna go in this body, okay? You have a mastery of your entire senses and your psychic abilities and everything. No good, man, no good. When people talk that, a lot of that is talk, all right? I'm not here to challenge other people's experiences, but some things when you're talking to me, especially in person, I read people very deeply. Not just am I actually at a psychic level telepathic, but also I read micro expressions and body clusters, gesture clusters. So if you lie to me and you're lying, I could pick it up. You know, I may not say anything, but I pick it up. So anyway, get away from that. That's going too far into other stuff. Make sure I got everything. So they get in and compound mental illness that's already present, whether it be chemical imbalances, depression, whatever it is. They're going to make it worse. Okay, that's their main goal. So to keep feeding and feeding like we're all cattle. Please subscribe. Please press the like button. I want to say thank you to everybody that's starting to comment on these videos that have kept them going. Thank you to people on Patreon. None of these videos would even been done if it was not for you. I would have stopped years ago. So thank you very much. Thank you, PC, for all of these. We've done about 400 now. That's going hard. That's a good run. And much power to everybody, much energy. Peace.